Yep.
So we'll start now. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to what should be a wonderful evening. We've got a star-studded panel with 4 internationals and myself to let down the team, joined by men's players Joe Gray and Martin Landajo, and 2 women's players, Jade Conkle and Leah Lyons. So welcome, guys. Thank you very much for joining me. We'll start with you, Jade. First thing, congratulations on, I think it's 2 really good wins for the women. How has it been being back, and have you enjoyed it, and has it been hard work?
I think it's 4 now, actually.
It's 4. Oh my goodness.
Get your facts right.
More due diligence from me. I was too busy researching Gerard and his background, and I didn't look at the results. Apologies.
I'll let you off just this once, though. Yeah, it's good. Obviously, lockdown was a bit of a tough time for everyone, but as soon as we got back into it, from the onset, everyone was go, go, go. So by the time the league came around, everyone was just absolutely buzzing. Like, couldn't wait to play, couldn't wait to just, I guess, hit something. That was what I thought anyway. We've taken it in our stride. Obviously, we've got G in now, so lots of new things to learn. So we've actually managed to put that into practice a bit now, which has been really, really helpful. And to get the 4 wins against some tough sides as well has been a really good start to the season. So long may it continue.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to touch on the Super G, Gerard, and obviously, like you said, 4 great wins, and being our most successful team in the previous couple of seasons. Leah, we'll come to you. How has it been with Gerard? Had you known much about him before he'd come, and has he been able to implement some new structures and the way you play and sort of improve you guys, basically?
Yeah, I suppose for myself, I've never seen Gerard before, but I suppose having another Irish person involved is always great. But yeah, he's done such a great job and such a good mix of different ideas coming in this year. With Gary last year, who was great, and he's been there for a while. But Jared this year, he's given a new dynamic, I think, to us, and given us a new way of presenting ourselves as Quins and getting a new structure in, definitely.
Yeah, I think from a personal point of view, it's always good to have a new coach and get new experiences. And I suppose with the both of you, which actually this is accidental, leads very well onto our next question. It's really nice to sort of get a change of environment, and Jade, will come back to you. Are you sort of flip-flopping now between Scotland and Harlequins, and how's that going? And are you gearing up for an international series now?
So we were. Obviously, I've been back and forth quite a lot lately. So we just played France a few weeks ago, where we drew with them 13-all, which is for us, a huge win on the cards, especially against somebody that's 4th in the world. So that was amazing. But after that, just with the pandemic and everything that's going on, they've decided to cancel the rest of our Six Nations games. So we still had Wales and Italy to play. So yeah, we found out at the weekend that they'd been cancelled and that our World Cup qualifiers have now been postponed. So it's absolutely, obviously it's gutting, but the world is in a global pandemic, so you just got to take each bit as it comes. But it does mean we're then released for club. So we're in a really fortunate position, whereas down here we're getting to play club. So we're now back into club for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I guess the sort of international loss is Harlequins' gain, I suppose. Leah, coming back to you, obviously, real shame about the Six Nations and the island getting cancelled. But I suppose looking forward to the season, it's all going fairly swimmingly. Who are you sort of eyeing up as the big challenge? I know you often play Saracens in that final at the end of the season. How do you feel it's going? Who are you eyeing up to come with? And I assume there's lots of internationals now coming back into that competition, which is quite nice as well.
Yeah, I suppose Saris are always someone that we look to go for and have a go at. I think this year too, you look at the 2 new teams coming in, you look at Exeter and you look at who else is coming, Jade? Sale.
On Saturday, just out there.
So that would be an interesting one, I think. But yeah, I think Saris, Wasps, have a good team in. They have a massive new back field into them. We had a crack off them 2 weeks ago, so we won that, and I think that's a positive outcome for us. And yeah, I think the ones looking forward to the next couple of challenges ahead.
Yeah, 100%. I suppose it's just nice to be playing rugby with your mates again and enjoying it for what it is after such a long break.
Yeah, well, I'm back on the rehab train, so I'm like,
oh no,
in the mix, out of the mix. So, but it's great to see the girls back, and it's great to see the mix of individuals back, and all the internationals we have, and players around. Like, it's just great.
Absolutely, and I suppose that leads us quite nicely onto the two other men on this panel. Gueza, obviously lovely to be back in to see each other and spend a bit more time together. Have you enjoyed it, one? And two, what have you been doing training wise? I know you're also in team rehab at the moment, so how have you found it all returning?
Yeah, no, obviously it's been lovely to get back. We had a really long break during the first lockdown, probably longest break we've ever had away from each other. So it was great to get back when we did initially, and then we've had a really short break this time. It's like 2.5 weeks, wasn't it? And then back in. So yeah, on a little bit of rehab train, but lucky enough, I've been able to train non-contact and starting to build back in now. So fingers crossed, we'll see how we are for next week. But it's been lovely getting back to see all the boys, especially you, James. As you know, we've got that bromance, so it's been real nice.
Absolutely, mate. Wonderful news and good to have you back. Martin, in terms of sort of rugby training, has it all been okay? Have you enjoyed it? Are the lads working fairly hard?
Yeah, I think it was a great short pre-season. As Joe said before, 2 weeks and a half is not that much. So the boys were still on a good fit. So I think we got new concepts, new things the coaches brought in this 2 weeks. So I think we're going to do a great season.
Definitely. And has it been really, really different from pre-seasons that you've done before, with the time being so restricted?
What do you mean with that?
So obviously we've only had a 3-week pre-season. Has it been very different from the ones that you've done before?
Yeah, the first thing is the weather. That's the most different I ever had.
Yeah.
Being night at 4 o'clock, I've never seen that in my life. So yeah, that's the first thing. It's different from Argentina, but yeah, it's a short season, straight into rugby. No, not too much fitness, not too much running, straight into what we're going to play, our line-out, scrums, how we're going to play. So I like it. I like it this way. I'm a bit old for a long preseason, so I prefer this. Short and sharp, get into the field.
I quite like it too. Come back to you, Jade. How have you found, because obviously the first usual games after preseason are in the sun at the end of August, start of September, the weather's good, but we're straight into kind of probably kicking battles, scrums, mauls. How has it differed, and have you enjoyed that, being sort of near the engine room, getting stuck in?
That's a good question. Well, like, obviously our laws are slightly different as well in the new format. So I think I've only done like 4 scrums or something for club at the moment. So
I'll do.
From our point of view, if like anything such as like a forward pass, not sure what else is it. What else is a free kick? Everything is essentially a free kick.
There's only one. So what you'll have to explain. I did look up the rules a week or two ago. You're only allowed to maul in the opposition's 22, and you can't reset or something. You explain the rules to me, because I haven't got a clue what's going on.
I mean, I just listened to the ref. Like that's about it. Pretty much, you can't maul. You can only maul in the 22s. Everything's a free kick. You only get a scrum if it's a crooked throw or held up over the try line. So for us, everything is being go, go, go. Every 2 seconds, there's a free kick, essentially. So it is like constant. So something we obviously did a lot of in our pre-season was, running, because we knew the game was going to be fast. We knew things were going to, really have to make us react a lot quicker. And it is something that we've definitely taken in our stride. However, because we played France the other week, coming back to play at the weekend, I was like, I forgot about all these. I was like, where's the scrum? I need a scrum. I need a break.
Yeah.
Just push a bit at the back and it's fine. So yeah, it has been different. We've definitely had to pick up a few notches in open play and to just keep on going. So I don't think anybody could have really expected that in lockdown. We're just doing burpees for days, really. So yeah, to get back into it with different rules, we've definitely, grown and actually learned to play like that. So it has been tough, but real good.
And do you think it's had a positive impact on the brand of rugby being played? Do you think there's a future for rules similar to that?
I hope not, but
A few of us would probably be out of a job if.
I honestly am listening to this. I'd never play again.
You'd be the first to go.
Right, 100%.
Like, obviously, if it means we get to play rugby, we play rugby, which is the most important thing. So obviously, we just take it in our stride. But I'm looking forward to the day that we get back to scrums and stuff, and a bit more. We can maul it wherever, because as we know with Harlequins women, we've got quite a formidable forward pack, so we want to be able to use that to our advantage. But don't get me wrong, we've definitely stepped up to being all over the pitch, and we're not just heavy one-way carrying pack. So now everyone's been a lot more evasive. You've got our props who aren't scrumming as much, so they're getting even like more around the park, which is really, really good to see. So it is a lot more faster and free flowing.
Yeah, that is good. I think like Joe said, the thing is you want to keep your best players in the game, so you don't want to change the rules too much. You don't want to lose your Joe Greys and your Leah Lyons and the such like. But I suppose Leah, coming back to you, is going to put your skill. You're a very skillful prop. It's going to put your skills under a bit more pressure. Are you looking forward to that, coming back in and persisting with those rules?
Yeah, I probably am terrified, to be honest, with all the running around and the fast stuff. But, like, you kind of enjoy a scrum after a while. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I like kind of skill work, and it kind of means we get to have a bit more freedom of moving the ball around and kind of doing kind of what we want. Jared is kind of not lenient enough, but he likes us trying to play with the ball and move it and get it out and have a bit of fun with it, to be fair.
Yeah, don't we all? Don't we all? That's the way Martin Landacho likes to play his rugby, free flowing. Would you like to see a rule change, Martin? Or perhaps, as my point in the lockdown, would perhaps a seasonal change would benefit the game if we were playing in the summer, throughout the summer, like you might have done in Super Rugby? Do you think that would improve the English game?
Yeah, for sure. After listening to you, I wouldn't change the scrums and everything. I don't want to get in a fight, but for sure about the summer thing, yeah, I think it's much more better to play in the summer. People enjoy it more, players enjoy it more. I think every player I asked, they like that. They don't like the rain, they don't like the wind, they don't like the storm. So yeah, no one likes that. And I think
you're wrong. I think you're very wrong.
Much better to play in summer, yeah. But I keep the scrums always.
Always. How does it compare, sort of going off topic here, but how does it compare Super Rugby and the Championship to the Premiership and playing in England in those autumn internationals?
It's a bit more slow maybe here, but I think now with the new rules, it's changing a bit, but referees are like, they make the game a bit slower. They help the defense, and everything's a bit much more slower. Maybe also the weather doesn't help, rains and everything. The pitches are not as fast as we have in the south, so I think it's a bit more slower here, more tactic. Maybe in down south it's just play and see what you have in front and just play a lot, and it's more fun, of course, but different type of rugby. So I'm glad to have both in my life now.
Mate, you best of both ways, you are. But in New Zealand, the weather must be bad as well at times, no?
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's true. But I think they know how to play in every situation. So that they're the only country that can do it both ways.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
And
Joe, coming back to you, Jade mentioned dodging a bit of running and doing a few burpees. How have your 200 burpees a day stood you instead for the end of last season and this season?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I finished on 10,000 burpees. You joined in for a good bunch, mate.
Indeed.
49 days, and I would have finished on 9,800, so I did 400 to finish.
Wow.
In a 20-minute window to get them done. So that was tasty, as you found out. But then I caught my calf the week later, so it wasn't useful at all. I had like a month of no running, lost all my fitness, and then had to start again. So yeah put me in great stead for the start of last season.
A big old shift does go to show you do need a burpee. John Hartley asking what a burpee is. Grazer, do you want to show us? Or?
Yeah, show us.
You should definitely show them. You're a great form.
I got the iPad on my lap. I couldn't possibly. John, it is where you go from your feet to your chest on the floor and back to your feet again. So a down up or a burpee, or I don't know what else they would be called.
Don't forget your jump after you jump back up.
Yeah, so I left that because I'm still on my
we didn't do that.
You know,
we didn't do that.
But I did expect it to last about 2 weeks. And then I said I'd do it every day until we're back into rugby for Bowel Cancer UK for a charity. And basically it just lockdown kept going on. And we kept being in like, we'll be in on Monday. And I was like, oh, thank God, I've got another like 3 days. And then it'd be like, no, we're not in Monday. And yeah, it's 49 days of it. So.
Yeah, big old shift. Didn't know what you signed up for, but a big shift and a lot of charity, a lot of money raised for charity, which is also great. Yeah, I do remember that we would get wind of something from Premiership Rugby or the RFU, and we'd get a message, we're in on Monday, and be like, are we? Then Sunday night, it's like, yeah, we're not in on Monday. And what 2 weeks turned into 2 months, turned into what, 4 months, 5 months? But as lockdown 2.0 has kicked in, and I'm sure a lot of the people watching are probably housebound and working from home, probably missing their sport and missing sort of their part of their schedule. But at least they're at home. And I wonder for three of you, and even you, Joe, you're a long way from where you were brought up. Martin, we'll start with you. How did sort of you and your young family cope not being able to pop back to Argentina for the summer and kind of being locked up in southwest London?
Yeah, it was a bit tough at the beginning because we were meant to go to Argentina after the season to get some family visits and friends, and we have a 1 year and a half kid, so we wanted to take him there, see the friends again and family. But still, it wasn't that bad. The weather was really good here. I met like a new London, so I loved it. We bought 2 bikes all over the park, so it wasn't that bad. But still, yeah, of course, I wanted to go home and try to see family and friends. But I'm a bit used to that. We travel a lot in Argentina, Super Rugby Championship, so it's okay. I'm not in Argentina right now.
Well, I'm glad you're here, Martin.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're here with us. And coming to you, Leah, how did you cope with it? Because obviously you are from Ireland. You've probably gone back recently for maybe some island camps. You'll have to correct me if team rehab's kept you here. Has it been a bit of a struggle to just be locked up in the Guildford area, or have you managed to get back?
No, I suppose for myself during lockdown was quite easy, I think, because everything obviously stopped. So I was like, I'll go get myself a job. So started working in Tesco's and still
no way.
So like just chipping in, doing a bit here and there.
Yeah, that's great.
And then I'm quite lucky that at the start of lockdown 1.0, I was living with a couple of the players, so it was quite a nice house to be in. So we kind of kept ourselves all motivated and kept ourselves moving and stuff. But yeah, there were 6 of us there, so it was quite a bit of fun and stuff. But yeah, I've been home once since. Did my 2 weeks lockdown in Ireland, 2 weeks isolation, and then met my parents for a bit and then flew back here because training was starting back up. So for that side of things, it's kind of, it's been tough, but it's also been quite good. Yeah, that's quite nice. It's frustrating. You obviously hear people go back home and they've got to isolate. It's just a bit of a shame. You obviously can't see your family and sit on your own. But like you said, I live with my brother, so we were able to be competitive and train together and kind of go against each other, which is a really big thing, I think, especially for people sort of, which is the whole point of this evening, for people's mental health. Leah, I'd come back to you again. Was that a real positive? I know you did mention it, a real positive thing for you with the girls, living with them and seeing them and being able to work like mentally? Were you able to kind of park rugby and put your time and energy into other stuff? Yeah, I suppose it was difficult because it's rugby something every weekend, every second day. You're literally in Surrey Sports Park training, you're meeting your friends who are there, you're doing everything, and then it just completely stops all of a sudden. And I suppose that time too, we were in the middle of Six Nations and that just kind of stopped dead as well, but we were a good bunch. I think there were 6 of us there. There was Chloe Rowley, Langi Tuma, Jada Franco, Jill, yeah, like we kept ourselves motivated. Like, you know, we had challenges against each other, and Jade was doing PT stuff online for us all. So we did a million things to start a lockdown and stuff. But, you know, we kind of kept that team spirit together, and yeah, we were lucky. We were a lucky bunch.
Yeah, it's nice to have those challenges. I know that I think Guzzy was kind of, I think The Last Dance had just come out. So Guzzy was kind of hammering us on being competitive and, you know, pushing each other. And it was so hard in lockdown. I'm sure people are sat there at home now as well thinking, what can they do? But there's always something you can do. You can get out and about. And it's just how good sport and being in a team environment is. I don't really know where I was going with that, but just like to add that. I think, Martin, there was a question for you. We'll do most of the questions at the end, but this is a good one. So how did you find the language barrier when you joined? Because your English was pretty good at the start and has got a lot better.
Oh,
and your son is obviously English. So
yeah, my son is not English.
Yeah, mate. Has he ever been to Argentina?
4 months. He was born there.
Oh, was he? Okay.
He's a little messy, so he will be Argentine. Don't worry. But yeah, at the beginning, I studied English at school in Argentina, but of course, I studied like a formal English. I didn't speak that much with people, and when you guys start speaking between you and really fast, I struggle a lot. And I remember getting home the first weeks or the first month, just speaking to my wife in Spanish. Please, let's change the language. I cannot. But now, of course, it's much easier now. I'm starting to think in English. That's good. Yeah, I think my English is a bit better. Still, sometimes I feel like I mix the words, but it's okay. It's funny sometimes. So it's not a barrier, really. And for rugby, it's so easy. I understand everything the coach wants from me, I think. And so it's not a barrier for rugby and for me to play in an English game. So it's okay. Yeah, you tell me how it's my English.
I think your English is very good, and I think you've improved a lot.
And let me ask the girls, because the first time they listen to me.
Yeah, it's very good. I'm very impressed.
Okay, thank you. I speak Spanish, you know that.
Yeah.
Sorry? Okay. You do sometimes ask, don't you, if Guzzy speaks too quickly?
Yeah, I like asking a lot. I'm not shy. That's good. I'm not shy.
If he says something you don't like.
Yeah, sometimes too. Yeah, the good thing about me is I'm not shy, so I ask. And sometimes you speak slang words that I don't understand, and I just ask. And it's good to learn. Like I like asking. I like learning. So that's the best thing about learning a new language. Don't be shy. Just ask.
Yeah, definitely. And this one's more for me, to be honest. How would you cope going to a country and not being able to speak the language? Because I know there's a lot of guys in France. There's a lot of nationalities out there. There's a few in England. Would you be able to cope, do you think?
In another language?
Yeah. Say if you went to France or Italy and had to then learn from scratch.
Yeah, I think I would. I would study, I would learn, I would ask, but I think English is the main language. I mean, you can go to France and you still can speak English and they will understand you.
No, I beg to differ. They don't like to do that. I lived in France and played there for a season, and they definitely don't like to speak English.
No, that's true. That's true. But I mean, you can understand and you can ask a bit in English and speak the language, of course. But with English, it's okay. So you get a good language, boys.
Mm. Yeah, and we're very lazy with languages. Jade, what was your experience in France? Going over, were you able to speak anything when you went over or not?
I tried to do a few French lessons before. Bought some, self-help books. I think I bought How to Speak French for Dummies.
Nice.
Which is actually quite helpful. But where I went, they were very proud of their language, as they should be. So everything was in French. And normally when I would ask a question, I didn't always get the right answer back or be told the right things. So it was very much a learning on my feet. The only thing I'm grateful for knowing was what tackle meant, because the very first session that I arrived to, it was a full-blown 2-hour smash session where you just completely annihilated everybody. So yeah, I'm glad I picked that one up quite quickly.
That sounds like a good one to come into.
Placage.
That's it.
There
But
is.
by the time I left France, I knew enough to get by. I don't think half of it made sense, but I could get by.
And in terms of sort of linking that with mental health, were you a bit lonely out there? Because you hear of a lot of guys, more so, like links with Fijian guys will go from small villages to French clubs and just kind of be on their own. And I just think I'd get really lonely.
Yeah, it was definitely lonely at some points. It was very inclusive in the environment. Like I definitely tried to meet a few people outside of rugby, but there's only so many, coffee catch-ups you can have when you speak very little English, and I speak very little French. So it did get lonely quite a lot of the time. And the best place was definitely on the rugby pitch, but it was a life experience where you learned a lot from culture. So of the culture, so you could take a lot away from it, but it definitely came with its challenges.
Yeah, I think that's why sport's so amazing, is you instantly have 20 plus people you have something in common with, friends. And for me, that's why sport has been so, even for, growing up and not moving that far, you still have friends for life in sport. And it's such a great tool. You would have never have, well, look at us, 2 Englishmen, an Argentinian, a Scots woman and an Irish woman. You couldn't think it when you were 10 running around. I can't remember my next question, I think I was going to go to Grazer. You right?
It has to be him.
It has to be, really.
Just in terms of, obviously, you were talking about people through lockdown and living in different areas, and obviously being from Nottingham, it's not that far, but it's about 3 hours away.
Yeah.
And just with that, me personally in lockdown, I found it amazing because I had a little boy in September, so he's 13 and a half months now. And it gave me a chunk of time to spend with him, which in a rugby environment you don't get. He was born, and 2 days later you're playing a game, and then you're back into training, and you don't get any maternity leave. You don't get any time with your wife and your baby. So it was actually an amazing chunk of time that I got to see loads of milestones. So I got to wean him onto food. We got him in his own bedroom. We got loads of amazing memories through that time. But what was really difficult was with the mental health side you're talking about. My father passed away early March and then went into lockdown. So my mum was in Nottingham, and obviously not being able to go and see her was an issue, because obviously you feel bad for her. She met him when she was 17. She's 62. So she'd been with him throughout her whole life. So that was the worry of, in a normal environment, I'd go back for weekends, I go and see her and I spend time with her, but I had to do it all over FaceTime. I'm lucky that my brother and sister are from Nottingham, and they spent a lot of time with her. And during lockdown, she actually moved in with my sister, which made it a lot better. But that was one of the difficulties I found through the lockdown. My personal bit was amazing being with Otis, but I was worrying obviously for my mum, which was a major thing.
Yeah, of course. And that is tough. Even, it's not quite the same, but mentioning on obviously Ross, it was the same. He might not play all the time, but if you're 24th man, you get dragged here, there, and everywhere, and you don't get your weekends at home. So I think some aspects of lockdown were a blessing in disguise, and you sort of the miss of missing rugby as well is massively important, and just kind of raring to come back into it. But that's why this club is so important, and why, again, I come back to sport is so important, to have your schedule and your routine and have a Saturday to look forward to, and have a group of people, whether you're a player or your mates or a fan, and you come with your family and friends and come and watch us. Incredibly important. And people watching, we really appreciate it. It does, we give you something, you give us something in then those weekends. And I'm sure lockdown 2.0, if you're watching and you're a bit lonely, there's rules, but you can go I think you can meet people outside, go for walks, still be active, get on your bike, and ultimately try and see your friends and family from a distance, and do Zoom calls like this with 5 wonderful people. I think the next question that was sent in, which is actually a really good one: has the resilience you've developed as an elite athlete helped you cope during lockdown? I'll give you all a little bit of time to think, and I'll keep talking because I love talking, and I'll pick 1 or 2 of you out. I think for me, I know I've said a lot of it before, but the kind of realization of, once you've had 1 or 2 weeks off and you've rested your body and you've escaped the sport and so on, and you've watched Tiger King within 3 days and you're loving it, you kind of realize what's important and what you want to achieve, and that in terms of rugby, and then life outside of it. I think being a sportsman and being naturally competitive and in an environment like ours, which is full of really driven people and lots of alphas, which is sometimes very hard, it gives you kind of that edge to have a routine, to have, like I said, live with my brother. We did lots of stuff. We were very competitive. You ring the people you want to ring. You do burpees with your mate who signed you up to a stupid amount of burpees. And I think in sport, especially the goal setting aspect, really kicked in for me in lockdown. And it was goals. It was pushing the Ks on my bike. It was trying to do as many burpees in a minute as we could, breaking those 200 up. And I think it probably did benefit me, whether that's, chicken and egg, is it rugby or is that natural and it just kicked back in? I think that was very helpful. I don't know if that made any sense to anyone, but hopefully it did. Jade, I'll come to you. I can repeat the question if you like.
That's all right. So yeah, like obviously resilience is a huge thing. It's a huge part of everyday life. It's a huge part of being an athlete, and something in sport, you really learn to control the controllables. If you pick up an injury, you focus on what you can do rather than what you can't do, and you look to improving every aspect that you can do at the time. So for example, my family live all the way up in Inverness. I've got nieces and nephews. My parents live there. My siblings live there. My sister just had a baby, so I've not seen them properly probably since January. But Zoom calls, they're great. So I set up PE lessons for all my nieces and nephews on Zoom. So, it was a way I was like, well, they're not in school, so let's find a way that I can see them, they're doing something productive, and we're helping each other out. So I'm seeing family, helping them do that kind of stuff. So that was a big thing. And then I ended up doing PT sessions with my mum. We had some obviously family quizzes, which I'm sure everybody got their fair share of family quizzes, and well, whatever else you did. So yeah, you just learn to control the controllables. And I think that's something that I've definitely learned more as an athlete that I could take into lockdown. And again, obviously we couldn't get out and train, and especially when you did only have the one exercise per day of leaving the house, you had to make it worthwhile. So it was quite a strong mentality of being well, I'm out now, so I need to do all that I can to fit it in that hour that you've got. So yeah.
That's great. And did you work whilst you were doing PE and then doing some PTing and stuff online, or were you able to work?
Yeah, so quite a lot of my stuff moved to Zoom, and then when we were allowed to see people again, it turned to just one-on-ones outside in a local park. So, I was quite fortunate that everything picked up quite a lot. Got a lot of new clients in lockdown as well. So yeah, had a lot of PT to do, and still do, because it's carried on. And now that we're in 2.0, it's carrying on again. So yeah, it has
ignited.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think lockdown was really good for people just to realise I think I've said that already. I keep repeating myself, but realise what is important, and only having a set amount of time to get out and be active did make people realize that that's what they need to do, and they need to have, in my opinion, a community of people. It's a healthy way, it's a healthy thing, it's an activity, but it's also a community of people. And again, linking it with this evening, it's massively important. If I didn't play rugby professionally, I would go to your Guildfords or your Farnhams and play, not only to play the sport, but to have 50 people that are similar to me, best mates there, a social life, and so on and so on, which is massively important. And I did have, I was going to come to you, Martin, in terms of lockdown, linking it with that question. You're, as polite as I can, you're a lot older than me, a lot older than me.
He's very old.
He is.
I don't look old. That's
it's the sun. It's the sun in Argentina, keeps you young. I just wondered, in terms of lockdown and training, did you put the brakes on? Did you take time off, more time than you would do normally?
Yeah, I did. We say something in Spanish. I don't know it makes sense in English, but I'll just say that if you cannot change it, it's not a problem. So I couldn't change lockdown. It was something that the government the world did. So I didn't lose energy in thinking, okay, I'm not going to Argentina, I'm not playing rugby, I'm not seeing my friends. That was something I couldn't control, so it wasn't a problem for me. I enjoyed being with my family, lots of time with my kid, as Joe said. So I really enjoyed it. I put a big pause to my training, to my rugby, no more rugby for 2 months. I don't know, no thinking, maybe a jog and something for my body, maybe, but not strictly into rugby. So it was really, really good. Really, I really enjoyed those 2 months with my family doing sports outside, cycling a lot, and yeah, I really like it. Zoom things with Argentina was good too, but yeah, I didn't see it as a problem because really I couldn't change it. So it's what I got.
Yeah, I was the same, to be honest. Gives you a chance because, you know, in everyone on the panel, there's days where, and we will talk about it later, there's days where you don't want to do certain activities, exercises, rugby training. You know, you don't want to go in the gym and lift heavy. Well, maybe not for me, but being told to lift as heavy as you can isn't always that exciting or that attractive. So to be able to pick and choose what you do and get out on the bike is incredibly important. And I think, or I hope, that the coaches and staff have kind of realised that there is that trust, which is great. Me and Joe in team rehab have got a little bit more freedom to pick and choose, which is really powerful for your mental well-being. If you're trusted to do something, you know, if you're treated like it's two things. You know, if you're treated like an adult, you behave like an adult, which is great for the culture and the group. And then if you've got freedom to choose what you want to do, you're more likely to do it. So my message out for you guys out there is do things you enjoy, as long as they're good for you. And we will kind of move on now to the sort of purpose of this evening, is to kind of talk about mental health in sport. And Leah, I've left you alone for a bit, so I'll come to you first. And talking about it, you know, I am sort of fascinated with people who have moved abroad and moved away, from their home nation, town, so on. So it seems right to come to you and kind of, I've got the questions written down here of kind of what challenges have you faced in your career, and also how has that been affected by, you know, a couple of years ago you took a big plunge and came to Harlequins, and hopefully you've looked back as that being a massive positive for you.
Yeah, no, coming here has been an absolute amazing journey, and it's continuing. I think, like, challenging as it was for myself, I think I talked to Atlanta for probably a month, who's our manager with the women's side, and I was like, I'm gonna come over. I think this was on like a Saturday. I was like, right, I'm coming. You know, you've won me over, I'm on my way. And I think she was kind of like, oh Jesus, like, I don't have anything ready, sorted and stuff. Arrived in on a Tuesday. And actually my first interaction was with Jade, Abby Scott and Victoria Peterson. So they were the first three I've met. Never been in England before in my life, like never traveled by myself, never been out of the country like Ireland that long by myself. And I suppose coming into a team environment, rugby's rugby. Everybody, you know, you do it because you love it and everybody wants the best for everyone. And I guess that helped me along massively, because it's quite lonely coming over, knowing no one, never having experienced with anyone before, never chatting with anyone. And then few WhatsApp messages with Jade, I'll meet you on a Wednesday, show you around with the couple of girls. And, you know, it made it very welcoming and it was easy to get along, that kind of side of things. And I suppose coming from Ireland over here, it's a huge difference. I'm from the country as well, to then come into this massive built up area and go, oh God, like, but no, it's been amazing. Like, you know, the club are very welcoming and they've done a lot. You know, I think the last year I had quite a few injuries and stuff and had shoulder surgery. And I suppose coming through that, I rehabbed through the whole lot of that. And when we got to the final in 2019, I think I was very lucky that they rehabbed me back to get to that stage. And, you know, they put a lot of time and effort into getting me back for that. So I was quite lucky that way, but I also had to keep my head screwed on for that whole time and watch the girls train and play. And, you know, you're kind of there as ball girl and you're kind of like, oh, I just want to be running around with them, but you can't.
Of course. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things obviously people don't really know and can't really see about top level sport, and you said a few things there. You know, coming to a new club, trying to become a better player. One thing is what all the fans are going to see, but also, you know, you're going to get lonely. You're going to have left lots of people behind. You're trying to fit into a new work environment, I guess, and then you throw in a few injuries, and it is tough, and it does get dark sometimes. And you watch training, and Joe, I'm come to you next. You've not been shy of a few injuries, but also, you know, you've had to face quite a lot in terms of moving clubs, and not necessarily moving home, but moving around and being uncertain, and you know, the kind of darkness that brings in terms of your personal life is quite big, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's something that rugby, and especially professional sport, brings, is a roller coaster ride. I think we'll all agree that you have some unbelievable highs, you have some amazing highlights of your career, and then you have some really dark moments as well, where you're either injured, I'm sure we've all been told we won't play again at some point. This will be a career ender. All these things get told to you. And then to put on top of that, moving clubs as well, like you said, not knowing if you're going to get a contract, when you do get a contract, if you're going to fit in at that club, if the coach is going to like you. At the end of the day, rugby is very simple. It's one person's opinion. If the coach likes you and rates you, you'll be successful in that environment. If they don't, you won't. It's a very simple game in terms of that. And I've had loads of injuries. I've been told numerous times, these are career enders and you won't play again. And what rugby has done for me is build up that strength, that self-belief that actually you can do anything if you put your mind to it. A couple of years ago when I left Quins, I left and I didn't have a contract. And then that uncertainty of not having a contract, I knew other lads who had the same, and they then went and got other jobs, and I stuck it out and held out, and I actually didn't sign a contract officially until September. And I just picked up the phone, had a trial at Sarries for free, and went from there. And there's been lots of roller coasters throughout, and one thing rugby has done is made me a lot tougher as a result of it.
Yeah, I think like it is a bit of a scary prospect coming to the end of a season not having anything. And a few years ago that did happen for a lot of guys. It seemed like such a saturated market as such, and you always think, oh, we'll go, you know, they'll be all right, they'll play another Premiership, or they'll go to France, and you can play in the top 3 levels and get paid pretty good money, or go into the Championship and do all right. But it is scary, and it is, I suppose people don't really think about it. If you didn't get a gig, you probably would have coached at Barnes or Wimbledon, wherever you were, and got a job, well, God knows where, I suppose. Did you have a plan? Did you have a backup plan?
It's always that thing of what you said as well. I had in the back of my head, like, the wife's panicking and family are worrying, like, what are you going to do? And I was like, I'll be fine. I'll be absolutely fine. There'll be other clubs, or I'll go abroad, and everything seemed to just keep falling. So I'd have like an option, and then it'd fall through. Then I get another option, it'd fall through. And then Championship clubs were coming in. I was like, I'll hold out a little bit longer. Then went back, the Championship clubs fell through. There was nothing left there. So then you're literally in a situation where it's like, okay, there's nothing going on. And my backup plan was I was going to play rugby. Like, that was what I was going to do. I'd done coaching. I'd done other things with my spare time. I'm a realist that you're one injury away from never playing. So I could have moved into other roles, but deep down, I was going to carry on playing rugby. I was 29. I still had plenty in the tank. So yeah, that was my goal, and that's what I did. I had literally an 8-week self pre-season. And then managed to get in at Sarries for free and just work my ass off. So
yeah, you did well, my friend. It's good to have you back with us. But I suppose it is sort of saying all of that, and the people watching, you know, there is everyone goes through, not everyone's depressed or has those, you know, really bad issues, but everyone struggles with one thing or another. And you've obviously, both Leah and Joe have mentioned a few. And when it kicks in, I'll come to you, Jade, when that kind of kicks in and you're not feeling great about rugby, or you want to escape, do you have any kind of coping mechanisms? Is it just seeing the girls at the club, or is it the PT, or like you said, your nieces and nephews, putting time into them?
Yeah, it's always important to kind of have an escape and have, like, you know, something outside of rugby. So like, yeah, like getting, like having family time, like whether that's or not, speaking about saying that you're down because of rugby or not, just like getting an escape away from it's always nice. And then I know plenty of times, you know, I'm on the phone to Leah, constantly giving her an earful to be like, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that, I'm sad about this, I hate rugby, I don't want to play, I'm like all this kind of stuff. And you know, it's about having those friends that you can speak to and being able to offload, and actually realizing that it's okay to also feel like that, because it's quite normal and you're going to have those highs and lows. So it's about dealing with them and having, like, you know, the support network that you can kind of lean on when you need to, because, you know, I'll lean on Leah and then she'll lean on me. And I think that's really important, to kind of create those relationships that are like honest, open, but whilst also having a distraction from rugby, I think is really, really important. And that could be, you know, for us, like, you know, a different job, or it could be, you know, finding a book that you like, or going out for a walk, or having a hobby, or just something that's, you know, a bit more of an escape, that I think is really important.
I think that's a great message. I think possibly for the people maybe listening, and some of the stuff that does come out in the press or people write or so on, saying to escape, it might sound a bit weird, but I think that's a very just way to sum it up. I know you especially the two women who join us, it's kind of approaching or coming into a professional era, isn't it? And it does, once it becomes your job, it is very different, and it can be a bit much sometimes. So it is really important to escape, like you said, Jade, and be like, Joe, let's hang out, but let's not talk about rugby. Let's talk about this or that. Or if I wasn't exhausted all the time, my hobby would probably be cycling all the time or playing five-a-side. And sometimes that's tricky because you're exhausted, you can't do it. You're stuck for a hobby kind of thing, I guess. And we can come to Martin. You follow a football team in Argentina, do you not? You like your football?
River Plate.
That was quite important for you when you're at home, wasn't it? Did you go, were you a season ticket holder? You went to quite a lot of games, didn't you?
Yeah, it's something in Argentina. Football is massive. Everyone supports a team, and it's like a cultural thing from your father, from your grandfather, same team. So my kid already has a jersey from my team, of course. So
that's so nice.
Yeah, and most of my friends are from the same team, and so it's something we used to do. Like every Sunday, we play Saturdays, maybe Sunday off. We went to watch these games. The last years, football has become a bit more dangerous in Argentina, so we started watching on TV. But yeah, it's a good escape, and it's something good to talk about rugby, no?
Yeah, definitely. And did you find, obviously from a different league and a different culture, do you find that sometimes it's hard to escape from rugby, especially traveling and on the road and playing lots and lots of competitive games abroad?
Yeah, it's really difficult. Yeah, because when I used to play back in Argentina, we were at least 6 or 7 months living in hotels, about to play a game on Saturday, and it's all about rugby. That week, you're just living with rugby players, sleeping with rugby players in the same hotel. So it's, yeah, I don't know how you say that in English. It's okay.
No, you said it right. You said it right, I think.
Yeah, but that's the idea. I mean, it's all about rugby. You just get one day off in the week, and of course, it's your head is all over rugby. So it's difficult when you travel that much. I find it much more easier now I'm here. That's why I came here, baby. I needed to rest about rugby, needed to live in one house for a whole year, live with my wife, my kid, and just play rugby on the weekends and get back home. So I'm enjoying this life. I get back training, no more rugby, play with my kid, talk with my wife. That's it, no rugby, and it's a bit better. I could handle it when I was younger. I had the energy. I wanted to do it. I wanted to improve in rugby, but now that I'm a bit older, as you say, I'm okay. I want to be with my family now.
Yeah, of course. I think agree with a lot of what you said. I did have a question, but it slipped my mind because Mark Leckie, he has asked you which rugby player would you like to sleep with.
So you don't say sleep with. How do you say?
We just say I shared a room with me. I don't know. Sleep with. I probably would say sleep with. I don't know.
I translated that from Spanish to English is sleep with someone.
Yeah,
Yeah, mate, that's each to their own.
Joe, you
Who
wouldn't
did-
say like that.
Who did no? I'd say room with. Who did you room with?
Okay.
I guess.
Who did I room with?
Well, who
I
did you
roomed
sleep
with
with?
a lot of Gus Creevy. Now he's playing in London Irish, so it's good to have him here so we can share rooms again.
Yeah. And is that been quite important to you to kind of go to his penthouse suite and talk Spanish to him and let the kids play and stuff?
Yeah, that's really good. We have another Argentinian in the club, so it's good. But still, I think it's important for me to cope and have friends as you boys and talk with another cultures and other English players. It's not just Argentinians all the day. I mean, it's good for our families sometimes, of course, about the language and the culture. But I like having gatherings with you boys and asking you about your culture and how you did to live in this country with the rain your whole life. That's the biggest question I always do.
We're just miserable. That's why we're so miserable. It rains all the time. That's why Jade's more miserable than all of us, because it rains all the time.
Why do you think I left the country?
Yeah, get a bit of sunshine once 1 month of the year.
And it's honestly, every time it's cold, I wrap up. I hate the cold, hate it with a passion. And I'll turn up to training and I'll be like, it's freezing. And they'll be like, you're Scottish. You should be your summer. And I'm like, stop it.
Yes.
I hate it. I was like, this is still cold to me and I don't like it. So don't talk to me.
Cold's cold wherever you are in the world. I think somebody's asked a question in Spanish, I think. Can you see that, Martin, or not?
No, so where can I see the question? No, I don't.
In chats, top right. Me quede con los jugadores de rugby.
I'm looking.
Oh no, it's not Jay. It's something with I play rugby. I can't translate it. Spanish isn't good enough. Can you see it, top right or not?
Yeah, I'm looking.
Do you sleep with rugby players?
Oh, is that what it is, do you think?
That's
Oh,
good.
sleep. Oh, it's just popped up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read it wrong.
Sleep with rugby players.
Yeah, well, each to their own. More accurate. Yeah. Thanks, George.
Cheers. Cheers. One thing, obviously, you said about people dealing with injuries and stuff. I just had a flashback of you at Gloucester when you got your concussion, and obviously how that was, because I remember you being out for a long period, but you actually had a scrum cap that was an ice cap that you used to have to wear, like literally get out the freezer and put it on your head.
Yeah.
But like,
I thought you were going to say something really, really nice to me then. But...
No, I know. No, it is. It's actually a question of how you like cope with that, because obviously a concussion thing is different to a shoulder or something where you've seen people get back from it, whereas that being your brain is a different kettle of fish, isn't it? So
yeah, it was, to be honest, it was really, really tough. And the thing I have got, it's in my closet, a scrum hat, which is like an ice pack, because I just tried everything and anything. I tried, I saw about 4 specialists. I saw two ear people. I saw an osteopath in Oxford. Travelled there to see them. He was a cranial osteopath. Sorry. So yeah, obviously you chase it. And like you said, nobody told me that I was going to retire, but it's at the back of your mind, and it's quite scary. And all I wanted to do was just play rugby, and that was probably one of the worst periods of my professional career. Was kind of like there is no end. It's like you said, a shoulder, or the worst thing could probably happen to a player is an ACL. 9 months out, but in month 5 you're going to be able to do this. Month 7 you're going to be running and maybe training, and so on and so on. But to be honest, I think, and it might sound a bit strange, that was the best thing that could happen to me in terms of realizing, 1, that rugby's not forever and putting time and effort into other stuff, and 2, kind of putting in processes that help me escape the game and give me more than just this is my life, just rugby. I'm a rugby player, that's it. Which was kind of where I was going to go next. I was going to talk about me for a second. I've been very open with people that do ask me. I see sports psychologists, 2 of them. They're really, really good. They've helped me a lot. I still talk to a few guys I've worked with in the past, and like Jade said, you kind of lean on who you trust, and find ways to vent and get over it. And you put in process. I've put in a few process, and they're not like meditation or this and that. They're simple things of plan something every 2 weeks, go out for food, see somebody that doesn't play at the club every month, and travel and go and do this and go and do that. And it's just important to have those outs. You've got someone to always pick up the phone to and organize something. And my hobbies now are, cycling, which is few and far between when we're knackered, but going out to restaurants and going to the cinema. And it's just important to have that in the diary, I think. And the sort of question I did have down was like, what are your coping mechanisms? Joe, I was going to come back to you. Obviously, you've now got a fairly successful business, and how important is that to sort of your well-being away from rugby? And also, how important is that for other guys to sort of take the plunge and do other stuff?
It's massive. And I think I spoke earlier about being a realist, that you're one injury away, and something similar happened to me, that got offered my professional contract at 17, and the next day dislocated my knee and did like everything you could do, got told I wouldn't run again. And that was almost 2 years to get back from that. So it opened my eyes to the real possibility that you'd never play rugby again. So from then on, I did all my coaching courses. I did summer coaching camps. I went to night college. I'm fully trained carpenter. I started a business a few years ago, 3 years ago now, which is sports recovery. I'm director of rugby at Barnes. I do lots outside of rugby, which actually I believe has made me a much better rugby player. Because when I was younger and after the knee injury, I just focused on rugby, and then I coached in case I got another injury, and it was all rugby based. And then you become a bit obsessive about it. And as you say, you're then surrounded by rugby lads in the academy house as well, and everything you do is purely that environment. So to get out of that and do other things has been amazing for me mentally, and helped me actually hone in when I am at rugby to really concentrate and learn and try and get better. Because I know when I get home, I'm not going to have time, because I've got to get on a business call, or I've got to go do shipping, or then I've got to go coaching on a Tuesday, or there's lots of other things to do now, whereas when you're young, there definitely isn't. So it's helped me a lot mentally and in terms of my performance in rugby.
Yeah, definitely agree with everything you've said there. I think the big message from this, before we go into the Q&A, the big message from this is, one, play rugby, obviously, best sport in the world. And two, if you are struggling, the sort of party line would always be, call someone, see someone, but just have multiple things you put your time and energy in, would be for me. And the rugby club, the local rugby club or whatever it is a great source for that. And even coming to the Quins games at the Stoops, which hopefully isn't too far in the future, great community, lean on the people around you and just get involved in something, would be my message. And we're moving on to the Q&A. For the boys on this one, how have you found working under Stefan as the new captain so far? Martin, would you like to answer that?
Yeah. Of course, it's good to. Of course, Robert left, so I think it's a good injection of energy. Stefan is a young guy, and he wants the best for the club. He loves working a lot, and he's really clear how he speaks. So he doesn't speak too much, but he leads by example. So that's something I like. So I'm happy to have him in there.
100%. So as am I. 1 second. Come to the ladies for this one. What support exists within Quins for any players that feels they are suffering mentally? What kind of things do you guys have in place for anyone that is struggling?
On you go, Leah.
Yeah, I suppose for ourselves, with the women's section, we have a sports psych with us at every training session, Gilly Thomas. So we're able to sit down, have a chat with her whenever we want, and talk about anything, whether it's rugby, whether it's outside of rugby, whether you're literally bored and just want to chat. She's there, she's willing to have a talk with you, and she's open about everything, and she does try and put in solutions here and there, and she's great crack as well, so you do have a bit of a banter with her, and she's easy to do. So with us, we have that, and I think ourselves as well, we're quite good at talking to each other, and getting different experiences out with each other, and if we have a problem, we can turn to each other, and we do try help each other as much as we can.
Yeah, 100%. I've always found working with somebody that's good fun and you get on with well is way easier to open up to them, and them to get the best out of you. What was I was going to ask the next one? Answer this for George, not really related to what you just said. Sorry, Leah, I've not linked that well. But at what point do you usually re-sign on your current? If it's what time do you usually re-sign on your current contracts? To be honest, George, it's very different for everyone. Usually the way they do things is you're not supposed to speak to people before January. So therefore you would have time before that to speak to your club. So it can be any time from that season, the start of it, or pre-season from August onwards. It usually depends on how desperate the club are to keep you. They talked to you earlier. So it's just, hopefully that's answered your question. Hopefully I'm correct. Next one, what are the best examples of well-being psych support that you've either experienced or seen throughout your careers? What would you promote well-being? What would you use to promote well-being further? Joe, you've been at a lot of clubs and environments. Would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, I think there's a few I've seen over the years, similar to what the women said of the sports psychs. They're really good to obviously have conversation with, have chats with. I think when you're injured, your physiotherapists, you can chew their ear off, tell them what you're doing. For me personally, it's been the players around me. So my close friends within the club, when I'm struggling or having a tough day, they'll generally notice, or I'll pull them to the side and tell them what's going on, and vice versa. And I think being surrounded, we're very lucky within rugby that we're surrounded by 50, 60 of your closest friends, really. You spend every day in a changing room and with a group of people that have similar interests to you, and that generally I've always got on with like a house on fire. And that's something I'm hugely going to miss when the time comes and I hang up the boots, is that environment. And I can tell a group of lads anything and they can tell me anything, and we don't judge. So I think that's been awesome. There's also been helplines and forums and all sorts people can get in touch with as well, which has been useful for some of my friends in the past as well.
Definitely. And the next one, sorry, I read it and thought, Martin, we come to you because I would find this interesting, sort of moving further afield home. Do you have many plans for post-rugby, and has it been something you've thought about a lot? Because obviously Nikki has mentioned sort of Cliff retiring recently, and there's lots of guys, Rob Buchanan, not quite retiring, but moving away from professional rugby. Have you thought about it much?
Yeah, of course. And now that you get older, you start thinking a bit more. Maybe when you're younger, just leave time for that later. But you know that in Argentina, rugby it's amateur. So this is like my hobby. I'm getting paid now, of course, but I started playing amateur rugby. So I studied and worked in Argentina. So I know a bit what do I want to do. I started to be a chef in Argentina. So I finished my 3 years career there.
Oh, wow.
I worked when I was maybe your age. So I had my own catering. I worked a lot. I still played rugby, but it's amateur. So I needed to work. So I think that's something that helped me now that I'm a professional player. Like, I know what I did before. I know what is to work, and I know what I want in my future. So it's something maybe similar to that. Maybe I have some gastronomy businesses back in Argentina. So maybe that's the line. You never know if I'm going back or maybe staying here, but maybe that's the line. But I think this amateur life I had before helped me a lot.
Yeah. I suppose it forced you to, like you said, work and set up your life before you came into rugby for after rugby anyway. And you've kept that very quiet.
Yeah. I never knew that. It's amazing.
I've not been invited around.
Boys do know. You need to listen a bit more.
To cook me food.
Never been invited for food either, Chiz. No.
So I'll be taking you up once lockdown's over to make me some delicious food. And Jade, I did have one for you to probably us finish on, but I can't see where it's gone. Oh, I thought I'd come to you for this, Jade, because what are your kind of personal targets for the season? Personally and for the team, I assume it is to win the league again and go on for glory. But personally and with Scotland and with yourself in the club and so on, what are your personal targets?
It's a tough one, isn't it? Obviously, like, everything's uncertain, but you've got to have those kind of targets. So from a Scotland point of view, it is to qualify for the 2021 World Cup, which me and Leah are both trying to qualify for. So you can see there's a bit of rivalry between the two of us at the moment, because ultimately one of us will go, essentially.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's going to come down to that.
Pretty much. So obviously, huge goal is to qualify and to be in the best possible place, position as a player to qualify. So a big thing for me is just focusing on, different aspects of the game that I can improve on. I'm known for being quite a strong ball carrier, so it's like, chiseling down the finer aspects of how I can be more effective in those ball carries. So, getting more used to the fend, try to spin out of things a bit more. So try to just be a little bit more detailed in things. So a big thing of mine is to always make positive meters in every carry. So that's just going to continue to be one of kind of my personal goals for the season. Because if I can be a big ball carrier and set up a good platform to play off, then hopefully we're going to score more tries.
Definitely. It's actually really nice to hear people talk about the kind of nitty gritty, because whenever you ask questions like that, it's to play as much as possible or so on and so on. Hopefully people have enjoyed that you actually understand the game really well and you highlight things when we set out areas for improvement. You do highlight very specific things, so it's just nice to hear from a rugby loser like me. It's nice to hear that, Jade. And I think we can't smuggle anyone into the Stoop just yet, but hopefully we haven't heard anything. But you would hope with the vaccine and everything and the lockdown, you would hope that it's not too far into the future before we do have crowds at the Stoop. Also, Terry, sorry to hear your news. We wish you all the best with your battle with cancer. Really sorry to hear that, and we will hopefully catch you at the Stoop, cheering us on behind the bench, not too far into the future. And that, I think that wraps us up, everyone. So thank you very much for joining me, all the panelists and all the people that we have had watching us. Hopefully you've not been bored to death by me. And thank you very much for joining us. If you have the time and the funds, please donate to the foundation for Movember. It's an incredible cause, and hopefully you've enjoyed sort of hearing a bit more about the mental strains of the sport and learned something. So thank you very much, guys. Thanks for joining me, and take care, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.